want the rules that's out there to be applied to us
fairly.
Fairly. That's what we want, right? That's the black agenda. You know what I'm saying? Which is the white agenda, the Chinese agenda, the whatever, right? That we want the rules that exist currently that favor you, that's applied to you, to also be applied to us in a fair manner. And we have to control our politics for that to happen. Let's give an example. I use the example all the time. It's not, it was two examples I use all the time. One, you cannot pinpoint me no city in America where black folks are the minority, but are the majority of folk that but make the majority of the money in government in there. No place in America where you can show me where black folks are in the minority and that we get the majority of the contracts, the business, whatever goes. There's nowhere in America except for black urban communities where we are the majority and everybody else get the majority. We get the majority of the work, contracts, the government, all those other things, right? So that's number. That's that's the first thing. The other point that I want to put out there about the black agenda, I'm kind of lost on it right now.
But your point is
go to. I'll get back to you.
Yeah, I just want to on something he said. He's absolutely right with respect to the contracts, and that's why New Jersey and many other states have MBE, minority business enterprises. And Donna will attest to this. When I was in office in Orange, we had a lot of initiatives focused on trying to prepare minorities, men and women, of people of color to position themselves so that they could receive those types of contracts. But because it's challenging, you get a lot of. It was often that we would have people brought to the table. Hey, can you look out for this guy? Can you help create an opportunity? And they come to the table, but they don't have anything they're supposed to have. No,
yeah, but we got it.
So we have. So what I'm saying is, as a government, on some level, those that have the knowledge and have the resources have somewhat of a responsibility to try to prep them and go find them.
Well, I don't disagree,
not just
but
wait for the show.
But we also have to be willing to do it, right? And so the other example I'm using, right? The other, well, rather it's both, right? So we all have to be willing. Government has to be willing, and the individuals have to be willing to participate. Let me give you an example, right? Minority businesses. I had a minority guy that turned down $1 million contract to paint a building that we tried to give him, because he walked up in and said the work was too much for him and he didn't have the capacity. Well, if somebody's giving you $1 million, then you have to turn around here and get the capacity because you just got $1 million contract.
Right,
but he turned that down, you know what I'm saying, because he wasn't willing to play within those rules. He made that decision.
Right.
He was off the contract, but he made the decision, I don't have the capacity, I can't do it, instead of taking the money and going out there and purchase. But here's another example I want to use.
But it's
the
not
Cubans,
wrong.
I just want to use this something. The Cubans came into this country in the 70s. They came in here on boats. They have no business. The people that own Miami was the Jews and Italians. Those were the people that own Miami. If you go to Miami now, the Cubans own the hotels, the restaurants, the clubs, the buildings, the condos. They own everything. Now, how did that happen from the 70s until today?
There's help.
Well, they took over their government.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm not saying they didn't have help. But what I'm trying to tell you is that they realized when they became the majority in government that they had the power to make things happen. And what they did was they made things happen for Cubans in Miami. And so I just don't understand how in urban America, where we are the majority in many of these cities, we don't make sure and make things happen.
But sometimes there's a deficit of knowledge, right? And I don't think it's wrong to know you can't handle something and admit that. You get $1 million contract, I don't have the bandwidth to deal with that. There's nothing wrong with admitting that, right? But the deficit becomes, in terms of knowledge, is if they don't know how to subcontract, if they don't know how to build the infrastructure or recruit the talent that they need to execute, or even how to plan a job of that size. So there's
part of our agenda must be the development of capacity. We've got somebody on the line. What we got? Can you hear it?
Yeah.
But we also have to be willing to do it, right? And so the other example, the other portion of the ball, right? So we all have to be willing. Don't have to be willing. And then you have to be willing.
What?
Is there room for Black Republican support?
Well, let me say this: there's no simple answer to these things. Our folks have to organize, right? Our folks have to organize for power. Our folks have to struggle for some basic functional unity to develop agendas, right? Our folks who are positioned, and this is where I was going with the conversation, just as you were coming in, Shay. is that, you know, when we develop certain capacities from positions of leadership, and of course, you know, we've got how many men's meetings has
Oh my God, the mayor, the brother,
trying to
trying
help
to
us
teach them, trying to learn.
develop
No
capacity,
question. Got a breakfast
trying to
coming up.
help us develop
You got a
capacity,
breakfast coming up.
right? So we have resources at our disposal to develop capacity. Another person who was very important to that, and is one of our least studied mayors. We talk about well, our Cuban folks in Miami, but what we had with Maynard Jackson in Atlanta.
Right.
He developed the capacity.
Right.
He had at his disposal.
Right.
He understood proportionality when it comes to participating in democracy. That's something that we're concerned with the seat and the faces. But if you're 30% of the population, you should be organized to demand without apology 30% of the contracts.
Right.
If
I say that all the time.
if you're 60% of the population and you only getting 30, something wrong with you.
I say it all the time.
Something wrong with you politically in terms of maturity. We need to deal with that.
But not only that, but I don't think that to be honest with you, to answer the Shay's question, I don't ask people their party affiliation when they come into my office asking for help, just to be clear. I don't care what you is. If you're a minority or citizen,
don't matter.
And you want us to help you, I'm willing to help you. So it doesn't matter to me what party you is. The question is, where's your commitment to follow the rules and the process so that it can happen? Like I said, the mayor's having these meetings where he's bringing people in the room to teach them the process. And we got people out here criticizing that, who's saying, oh, they'll never happen. It'll never. And now you got a brother who's building houses up in on Avon Avenue who was coming to the meetings. And he got African American. Yes.
Pulling these lead pipes out and putting in fresh ones.
Exactly.
Nobody's telling no stories.
Nobody telling no stories.
No, what I want to say while we're on that point, let me shout out John Harmon.
What up, Tariq? I'll see you.
John Harmon, who's with the African.
Thank you, Mama. I'm gonna go back to listening to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for calling the check.
Let me shout out John Harmon, who's with the African American Chamber of Commerce at the state level. And when, for persons to sign up there, the educations that are being put out at the African American Chamber of Commerce to show you how to build capacity, how to be a contractor, how to do it, because to Eldridge's point, is some people just don't know. We have cleaners in our town, and we have a cleaning contract for police uniforms, and the cleaners in my town don't respond to the RFPs or RFQs for the cleaning contract. So there is a disconnect. And to that point, our superintendent, Fitzhugh, had a strategic planning meeting last night in the city, and he brought everybody together. And the constant, even as we talk, the thing that was consistent that came back is how do community people get involved, because I don't know how to. So they don't think it's as simple as walking in the door and say, hey, how can I help? They feel they need to invite the welcoming and things like that. But as you were saying that, and as we were going to go into Iowa and what's getting ready to go up, because this is, I was talking to Senator Rice and he may be on his way there. What does that mean? Is it as Iowa goes, everything else goes? What does that mean? And I'll talk about something else in terms of organizing.
Well, once again, I think we every 4 years we're about to experience the most undemocratic process that this country has ever seen. That's the caucus procedure. I've never been a fan of caucuses. Probably more than likely, Bernie Sanders is going to win this caucus because he has younger, more energetic voters out there. And the caucus is about who's going to go into rooms, who's going to spend that time going back and forth with one another, who's going to, you're not going to get a lot of older folks that's going to be willing to do that. And so more than likely Bernie Sanders is going to win that cause. But that is, and the other thing is that Iowa is not reflective of what America looks like. Okay. So if we talk about putting the black vote, right, there's no sense even talking about that. I think the black vote in Iowa is probably about 0.02% or 0.05%, right?
Isn't he still running neck and neck with Biden?
2008.
Isn't he running neck and neck with Biden?
That's not a
yeah, but I think ultimately I think he's.
And Sanders can't even be out there campaigning because he's doing his duty, right?
Yeah, but the caucus process, man.
They just said no witnesses, so he's playing.
Yeah, no, that we hope we have time to touch on that.
Hey, what's the number by here? I got somebody want to call in.
The other thing is that we have to appreciate, even though Iowa has that odd persona in terms of its dynamic, we can't ignore the fact that in 2008, a young long-legged lawyer named Barack Obama came out of nowhere and stole Iowa from Hillary Clinton and went on.
Yeah.
5 out of the last 7 Iowa caucuses, the leaders came out winning the nomination. So we say that whoever comes out with it is that election 2020 is on.
Well, I think
February 3rd is on, and we need to be paying attention. New Jersey, June 2nd, you got to be registered by May 12th. It's on. This is not the time to be sitting on the fence. This is not the time to be scratching your head. This is not the time to be pointing at somebody about what they're not doing. With what's going on in the national scene, you got a criminal just ready to go away with crime.
Oh, man.
Because he got a ball of gangsters protecting his behind in the Senate that will not allow us to hold him accountable that way. So we got to hold him accountable the other way by beating his behind at the ballot box. Eldridge, you get ready.
Yeah, no, because you mentioned Obama. I think I'm gonna try to ride that wave, not just because he was in the administration, right? But I don't know if anybody else saw it. I shared it on Facebook. There was a nice little article that talks about him picking this Obama as VP, right? Right now, I don't think that was a coincidence that happened to pop out now while they're running around Iowa. But maybe she will. She may have expressed back in the day she didn't want something like that. But when somebody's handing you that beautiful at that moment, right? And you've been sitting out of power a while, thinking life isn't as exciting as it used to be. Vice President might be pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, they do. I just don't think she'll take it.
Now I'm gonna tell you something. Critical of Bernie Sanders, and I'm probably closer to that out of all of the candidates that are running. I said back in 2016, and he embraced Elizabeth Warren early in the game and made her his mate, he probably would have beat Hillary straight up. And he, made some organizational.
I gotta disagree with you. I think the Clintons were the institution, and they had the party locked up. I don't think there was anything. I don't think anything Sanders could have done could have overcome that. And he tried real hard.
The issue with Bernie Sanders, because I don't want to be critical, I think the brother says exactly what needs to be said out there. The question though is it's what my mentor taught me growing up. You have to count. The thing is, he always said, you can have all the ideals you want, but if you don't have 5 votes on that council, it's nothing that you're going to be able to do. And Bernie can't count when it comes to what the promises by the
calling numbers 973-353-46.
I'll put it in my feed.
Right? So I know some folks want to call it.
So
and feel free to post your question because we're Facebook Live as well, so we can conversationally answer your question as well.
Yeah, so I don't, the deal is that, with all the promises that him and Elizabeth Warren are promising, the reality is that it would never pass. And I'm telling you, it wouldn't pass a Democratic controlled Congress. Because it's just not realistic. And so the problem is that we promise all these pie in the sky ideas, and when we get in office, when there's a realization that it can't happen, that's when people get disenchanted with the election process.
Yeah, there's some truth.
And because he's not a king. He can't just make these things happen. He has to have enough people in Congress and in the Senate. And in the Senate, you only need one person to put a bill to the side. One person can hold up a bill in the Senate. So if you don't have
filibuster act.
100, right? So if you don't have 100 people,
you just say Trump's behind.
Right. If you don't have 100 people voting on your bill, or 100 people agree to move your bill to a vote, then never get voted on. And so, it's I'm not, I don't want to be critical of him because I think he says things that need to be talked about. I just hate the fact that we have so many people that follow him who believe that if he won, that these things would actually happen. Because I just don't think that they would.
Student debt forgiven on day one.
Yeah, what happened?
January 21st, he's swearing.
It's not realistic.
Just go away.
But I do have a question since we are on that issue with Trump and parlays into this. I'm curious what y'all think. How much do you think the Trump's action over there, in the Arab states where he made that attack, how much do you think that was related to distracting from the impeachment? How much was it from as a political stunt to change the conversation? Was it really about our security that they had to take out that general, or was that just a convenient avenue to change the stuff?
Always the question.
He was a pawn.
Yeah,
That general was a pawn in the game.
yeah.
He would now there is a large sector of the national security state apparatus that would like to take Iran down.
Oh, no question.
Always wanted to do that since their 79 revolution.
Yeah, no question.
Not just because of their revolutionary character, but because they're right on the border with China, and also because there's a whole lot of oil that they used to have access to, right? So there are some heavy geopolitical dimensions to that, but the answer was in your question. Boy was gaming because his behind was getting hot, right? His behind was.
But I gotta admit though, I was hoping and praying that we did not plunge ourselves into war. You know, like the first time, and I can remember in his presidential career, somebody must have spoke to him, kept him off of Twitter, or had him exercise restraint. Because I just knew with how he's hot-headed that he was going to say or do something, and to the retaliatory strike to that Iraqi installation where we had our troops at. That we were just going to go nuclear or something was going crazy and it was going to be a problem. So I'm happy that we de-escalated that.
And he was supposed to, is what he said. When he came in with his lying self, he was supposed to be pulling everybody out of Iraq. But what he did, he went in and did it. Nixon, he said, my bombs are bigger than yours. Dropped the big bomb and kept the troops there.
Yeah.
We have been at war 18 straight years between Iraq and Afghanistan alone, not to mention other Yemen and Chad and all these other places where we got other smaller skirmishes going on. We've been on a war footing for 18 years.
War is a big part of the economy.
Years.
War is a part of the economy in America. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
But here's where I want to go with this. Since we got Bernie as the lightning rod and all this, isn't it time that we got somebody to at least begin to change the paradigm? Must we always be at war? There was a time when we pulled out of Vietnam, right? And we were not at war for a while.
But guess what?
And we lived.
But war is profitable. For some.
Right.
That's a people don't
So
realize
that's
that.
what I'm
That's a
talking about.
money making
Paradigm.
engine
It's
for them.
profitable for a small.
That's right.
Not profitable for everybody. So the question.
Certainly not for the people that lose their lives in those families. You know, that are there are obviously wars that are legitimate, but I think it's unfortunate if high-level politicians are for less than legitimate reasons putting people in harm's way. Especially not to profit, not to make certain corporations or certain small individuals, like you said, make money. I hope that's not the case. We don't see that on the front news too much, but I maybe I'm a little cynical, but I don't believe that everything our government does is pure of heart, if you will.
So with that being said, that if we were to actually look at it and go back and say, during years of war, this amount of money was made during years of war, where was prosperous? And I'm sure it will show that the masses did it during times of non-war. We prospered more as a how we are. But we will say.
I was going to answer that because that merits a response. The greatest growth period in this country's national economy between 1949 and 1970. And out of those years, we were only at war for 4 years. Okay? So there was a huge period of economic growth and development without it. It's possible. People do not have to live, and people have what they need without somebody being killed. And if something is wrong with us, if we think that it's all right to have a system to make that to be the norm.
But I know that we have, since we are a powerful nation, I think there is some moral obligation to help other countries, but I think we have to be careful with regime change and opening a can of worms where we have to continue sending troops and financial resources to help stabilize something that we destabilized, right? We saw that when we took out Saddam, we destabilized that region, right? And now you're talking about pulling troops out and destabilizing it further. Who steps up to pull?
And folks want
fill up the void?
our people the hell out of there.
Right, and then we have people here stateside that are suffering, and we can't find money for them. But there's billions of dollars to send overseas to this and that.
People can't pay rent, food. This clown is cutting food stamps. We're down our last couple minutes. Last remarks.
Wow.
Oh yeah, we've been rapping for a while now. Oh, you was on the roll, Rockman. You weren't paying attention. We got you.
He was beating the drum.
Yeah. All right. Last remarks. Go ahead. Jump on it.
Listen, I just think that it's important to participate in this election. Let's not underestimate, this guy winning the second term. I mean, every day I wake up hoping that America in November will wake up and say, okay, we've had 4 years of this clown. It's time to get about this nightmare. But you know what? I got to be honest with you. I'm not comfortable that that's going to happen because, the reality of the matter is that agree with this guy. And so, 4 years ago, I said I remember being in a retreat with Raz and them, and I was the only one in the retreat that said that he can win. And everybody was telling me, oh, no. And I was like, no, he can win. Because as a union leader, going around this country, I talk to those union leaders in those different states. I listen to what those folks say. They say one thing in the room by here when at the mics is playing, and then when they get into the bar and they get into the restaurant, they say a whole lot of different things.
That's
you know
right.
what I'm saying?
Sure
And so, don't underestimate that he can actually win. He only won with 70,000 votes divided between a few states. Don't think that can't happen again. It can. And he's about suppressing and confusing the vote and keeping his base. And, we keep fighting between the Bernie fanatics and the Biden folks and the Warren folks. We don't have some coming together around whoever the nominee is. We're going to support him. Then I'm telling you right now, get ready for Trump 2.0. And Trump 2.1 is is off the hook. Imagine what 2.0 look like.
So as we close, where you get to talking, you don't realize how short the period of time.
That's right. You get that.
So we had so much to say, but I'm going to highlight some of the things I wanted to go over that we didn't go. March 17th, put that date on your calendar. All my people that have been disenfranchised, whether you're on parole or probation, go register to vote. That is your voter registration day, March 17th. Due to the new law in the state of New Jersey, if you are on parole and probation, you can go register to vote on that day. I want to remind people Iowa is going on, but in May, local elections are going on right here in New Jersey, particularly Essex County. Irvington and Orange has their local races, and then coming right up behind that is the primaries in June. And right now, every day, we're working on Census 2020. So there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot to stay focused. And one of the things I was going to go to, I'm sorry, Rahaman, is I want to talk to you about one of the things that unions do good and people don't understand is coming in as an organizer. And a lot of times people are looking for opportunities and they don't look at the unions. But learning how to organize, I believe, is the very thing that sent Senator Barack Obama to the White House because he was a great organizer.
All right, and as we close, I'll just keep it short and sweet. I would challenge everybody to engage in the process and do something that's counterintuitive and not vote for who you like. And I know that's hard. We see things, we have a feeling we like this guy or we like this woman. Vote for whose issues align with your needs. Actually listen to what they're speaking about on the debate stage. Do some research on what their platform issues are. And don't do just what they say. Look at what they've done. Look at their history. If they've been in office before, what type of decisions have they made? What types of policies have they supported? Have they been able to work between party lines to push an agenda forward and be effective? Like Rahaman said, you can't do it alone. You need support. Who has a demonstrated track record to do those things and has a track record of policy that aligns with your personal interests? I would suggest that you vote that way, not just on who you like.
Right on. So all of your comments, I think, are deadly and on point. I unite with each particular point. My thing is that this is one we cannot afford to see. And I don't care who you're with, or what your beef is. We need everybody to participate. Right. One of the reasons why this fool lost is because a lot of us did not vote. Right, in some key places. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, right? Detroit. Those were key places where we should have turned out, and at a certain level, right? And that would have made the difference. Of course, finally, if you are in the South or in other certain states where voter purging is the order of the day, and you're not voting on a regular basis, please check the status of your registration to make sure you have not been purged. That's the impeachable offense that about what these clowns are doing all over the country. They're organized and they're doing it. Voter suppression is a violation of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And those jokers, if that had its teeth, its original teeth, they should be going to jail, not going to the White House or going to the State House in Georgia like some of these other people. this has been all this. Huh? Oh, I got new guests. This is not his first time,
Ask me.
right? Okay, all right. Well, see, the question.
Here's the loaded gun.
No.
Here it comes. There it is.
This is all politics and local. We always ask our new guest, but he said he's not a new guest. That's why I was
Yeah, but years
trying to
ago.
ask you. But the question is, what is or who is your favorite hip hop artist as you get ready to leave these airways?
Oh, Biggie, without doubt. Biggie Smalls, Notorious B.I.G., whatever you want to call him.
There you go.
You don't need somebody inspiration for the day right now?
Mine's always Rakim, you know what I'm saying?
Thinking
Just
of
had a
master
birthday a little while
plan.
ago. Yeah, just had a birthday a little while ago. That's right. Okay. All right. So we get ready for DJ Rhino's turning it all the way up for his segment. This is all politics of local America's number one. I want to thank our guest for this particular segment, Deputy Mayor Rahaman Muhammad for the city of Newark, and former Mayor of Orange, Eldridge Hawkins, and of course, Madam Donna K. Williams. DJ Rhino, let's ride.